Your business will go through phases, and deciding not to adapt, being overly committed to your initial challenge, the problem that you're solving, will only limit you. You, as a business owner, have to be willing to put on your visionary hat.
Hello and welcome to the Service-Based Business Society podcast. I am your host, Tiffany-Ann Bottcher. On our weekly episodes, we will dig into everything you need to know about scaling your service-based business without losing sleep. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Service-Based Business Society podcast. It's the second to last episode of season 3, and as you can tell from the last few episodes, I'm feeling a little bit almost nostalgic about the journey. And as I was going through recently, looking at the episodes of season 1, season 2, even season 3, and really starting to decide where this podcast should go. And it was very interesting, a little bit of journey, and I wanted to actually share it on today's episode because I think that every business almost goes through the same thing. I know that I have gone through this with my business a couple of times in the last few years. And so as we're going through the podcast, as I've gone through it with my business, it's a conversation that I just felt like was so relevant for today. And it's kind of that discussion of realizing that you aren't where you necessarily thought you would be. You don't have a problem with where you are, but it's almost kind of that realization of like, hey, this isn't exactly what I thought. And wondering, what now? And it's that moment where we have to take a step back and really wonder, what is important? And it always comes back to, why did we even start? So I've talked about the podcast for a long time about being a way to connect with some incredible people. And even this journey, this episode is really born from the journey of going back through some of the episodes. We've had some incredible guests. And I really want to say thank you to the guests who came on season 1, season 2, even season 3. Of course, all the guests get a big thank you. But those who believed at the very beginning when there was nothing, those who decided and agreed to be on the podcast before there was a podcast, those are the people who truly believed in I'm going to show up. I'm going to take the time to record. I'm going to come on the episode. I'm going to share my value. I'm going to share my story. And then this person who I don't really know is going to take it and she's going to go and do things with it. And I've decided that that is worth my time. And we've talked about it so many times on the podcast that when someone believes in you with their time, there's truly nothing more valuable because it doesn't matter whether you are in the first day of your business or the 1,000th day in your business. If your business is generating $100 a month or $100 million a month, everyone has 24 hours in a day. Time is the biggest piece that offers such equality. It neutralizes. And I feel like the word equality, even as it leaves my lips, I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to get into that discussion. But what it does is it basically says everyone has the same 24 hours. Do with it what you will, but you have 24 of them. And as we grow our businesses, as we grow a podcast, as we make decisions as to when we're going to interview on a podcast or when we're going to meet with someone, where we put our time is truly into what grows. As I sat back recently and looked through the episodes, we're already starting season 4 guest planning, and we're starting the decisions as to what episodes kind of fit into what places and who do we want and who is similar to someone we had before but maybe offers a different perspective. It really had me look through at who had been here. And so today I wanted to share this discussion about realizing that things are not exactly as you thought they would be, and that being okay and part of every single person's journey. I'll be honest, if I go way, 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 way back in time, I didn't want to go to university. If we're going way, way back, I rode horses really competitively my whole life. This was my whole life. I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to represent my country. I worked, I slept, I breathed, everything was around that goal. And it wasn't until I was in a really horrific car accident, and I really tried to keep riding for a while after that, but it became very clear that I was no longer going to be able to do it at the same level. And it actually, as my condition worsened, I wasn't able to do it at all. And I remember early on, my dad always saying, you put all your eggs in one basket, you need to plan to go to school, you need to do all of these things. And I said, Dad, it's going to be fine. This is what I'm going to do with my whole life. It was not a great conversation when I had to say, Well, Dad, you may have been right. Nobody likes to have the conversation, especially with a parent. But I had put my eggs in one basket and I decided I was going to go back to school. And I really, at that point, had no idea what I was going to do because I had never even considered it. And as I went through the process of going back to school and finding my way and whatnot, well, it turned out that I actually absolutely loved school. I loved what I was doing. I loved this new life. Had someone early on told me that that's the life, the journey I would have or want, I would have said no. But, there we were in a different spot than we intended and still absolutely adoring the journey. I went on to do my MBA, went to grad school. I absolutely love school. And one of the things that I would absolutely love to do at one point in my career is actually go and teach at a university, college, teach business classes. This has been a passion of mine for a very long time because I love school so much. Different journey than intended, but an amazing one nonetheless. And so we almost go through that with our businesses. You've heard me talk about it on the podcast before. My business came out of one idea, and it really wasn't until we got started down that path that we realized there's some problems with this. And in order to do the second level, we actually have to deal with the first level first. And so I heard someone refer to it recently as not just product market fit, but problem client fit. And being able to solve someone's problem is really every business, every product, every service is someone has a challenge and you're going to solve it. Whether you are solving a problem with a service, whether you are selling a product that solves a problem, it really comes down to that problem sometimes evolves. It comes to mind, there's a software company out there we deal with quite consistently, and they actually started selling a kind of AI chatbot. Now, if you've been online, you know that AI chatbots are the thing right now. And so they started selling this product, AI chatbot, and basically by the time they got it finalized and all the kinks worked out, technology had evolved so much that the way that they had done it was obsolete. And now you didn't really need to use their solution. That solution they were offering previously was kind of built into other very inexpensive solutions. I kept an eye on this business. I kept an eye on what was going on. I thought, how is he going to deal with this? Because you've started selling a product. You've got this all going on. You've made investment. You're doing all these things. And now your problem that you're solving is kind of already been solved. Like it doesn't need an external solution. Very interestingly, we watched him pivot to the point where he almost called himself out and said, well, this is now no longer a problem, but here's what the new problem is, and here's how we can help you solve it. And he actually modified his model to use the less expensive solution, but in an enhanced way, because he had a group of people that were obviously interested in that problem and were interested in investing into that. And so the end result is that he's gone on, yes, changed the path a little, changed the challenge a little, but still gone on to be very successful and doing great things. Now, I don't see behind the numbers. This is a company I'm watching. I know the business owner, but I don't see the numbers or I don't have that relationship with him. But he's gone on, and if you're watching his community, the members, people are growing, people are asking questions, all signs point to the business is growing and doing well. Ultimately, it's modifying that challenge. But here's how this applies. How does this all come back together? Your business will go through phases, and deciding not to adapt, being overly committed to your initial challenge, the problem that you're solving, will only limit you. You, as a business owner, have to be willing to put on your visionary hat. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast, you know that's not my favorite hat to wear. I really enjoy the operator hat more than the visionary hat. I challenge myself to spend time with, to learn from, to those visionary type people, because I truly believe a business future is really limited by the vision. What is the difference between someone who wants to create a $100,000 business and what is the difference between someone who wants to create a $100 million business? Well, it's two different ideas, and it's not common, but not impossible for people who started with a $100,000 idea in their mind somewhere along the way in that journey where they started thinking, I'm going to turn it into this. Let's call that basic business. I have a vision for basic business. Along the way to turn it into epic business, someone had to have a change, a shift. It's not common for the same person to take an idea and go to basic business and then turn it into epic business and not have a major mindset shift. Oftentimes people will take a business, get it to basic business and sell it to someone else who goes on to take it bigger places. This can happen. And sometimes sheerly by accident. There are the businesses out there that started as I have an idea, take it to basic business, and it just skyrockets. But it's not common. It's not common. People have to go through their own mindset shift. And it's the realization of we might have been going to this original destination, but we need to modify. We need to change. And it's always the reminiscent times where you're looking at things. I look at the podcast and I will openly say and appreciate those who have been a part of the journey because we did things in season 1 that I would not do now. But at that time, we did them. They were great. And that's all part of the journey. I was sitting back and I'm looking at where the podcast has been and the growth and the content and all of these things. And I truly have this deep gratitude for the journey and the growth and this exciting optimism for the future, the openness, the possibilities of where it can go. The podcast has gone from something as a, hey, I have an idea. And now here we are wrapping up season 3. I've said for the whole journey, had someone ever said I would have a podcast, I would have laughed you out of the room. Interestingly enough, one of the things that my previous business partner wanted to do was almost do an internal kind of podcast. And at that time, I remember these conversations of, it would be great if you were a part of this, he would say to me, but I know you wouldn't do things like that. And so when I sit here now and I look back and I think, hey, I do that now. I think of that conversation often because at that time he was so right. This is not my thing. I would not be doing this. But here we are. This episode is a little bit of that kind of sentimental wrapping up season 3, but the value is so strong on this episode. I want you to take a look at where your business came from. Why did you start? Why? What is the why? There's a lot of discussion about going so deep on the why. There's a whole book Simon Sinek wrote, starts with why. There's a lot of deep questions there, and I don't go as deep on the why because I think that you need to know why you started your business, but chances are that has really evolved. Why did you start? But why are you continuing? Your life, your business, everything has evolved. And we need to remember not just why you started, but also why you want this. Because your wants will evolve. Oftentimes, if we think of life as kind of the pendulum swing, there's a problem and we attempt to solve it. And oftentimes we swing past the solution and actually go too far. The end is we swung too far. The pendulum is, and we see it all the time in life. We try to fix one thing and whoop, too far. And we overcorrect and go too far. And so oftentimes why we start our business, not really a lot to do with where we are, depending on how long you've been in business, obviously. But I want to think, why did you start? Why are you still doing this? And what is the difference? What is the difference in the market? What is the difference in the environment? When I say market and environment, you think, oh, this kind of could be similar. Market or your customers. What are the difference in your customers between now and then? Are they different? Are you serving the exact same group of people? Because if you have great customer retention and you're serving the same people, chances are your customers are actually in a different place now than when you started with them. Let's take something super unique. If you're a hairstylist who specializes in damaged hair and people come to you, but you have great customer retention, they fall in love with you and now they never want to leave. Well, if they came to you with damaged hair and you're great at what you do, chances are they don't have damaged hair forever. You're going to fix the hair. And then what are you offering? What is your new thing? Because if your shtick is that you deal with damaged hair and now you have a person with amazing hair, are you no longer the person for that? Are you no longer the person they should be seeking? Should they now be seeking out a different provider who specializes in healthy hair? And that is where we really have to decide. It's not only why did you start, but it's why are you continuing? It's where was the market? What market were you serving then? And what market are you serving now? If you are the person who specializes in damaged hair, and now that the hair is fixed, they're moving on, that is a very different business plan than is the person who wants to attract people with damaged hair to fix them, to then serve them for life. And so we really have to decide what's different, because it is different. The market is different around us. The economy, the environment, the regulations, they're different. We as humans in our own businesses are different. We're in different places. We all spend so much time on growing. That means that hopefully We are different as humans than we were when we started. And it's so critical to factor that into the planning, to go through and look at the differences, to highlight the differences and opportunities that exist now. We're wrapping up Q1 of the calendar year. And so often I'm dealing with different business owners, talking to different business owners. It's almost like we're just, because things go so quickly, it's that moment of like, oh, wow, Q1's almost done. There's only 4 of them. It's kind of like the weekends in life where you think like, oh, I just wasted just one of them. Well, there's only 52 in a whole year. In a business, there are 4 quarters in the year. And so if you have not checked in to decide what opportunities are for you this, are we on budget? Do you have the budget done? Because I actually have been hearing from a lot of business owners that have not yet finished their budget. Guys, I hate to say it, but time is flying by. While it started as a bit of a walk down memory lane for the podcast, looking at how far we've come, I think we should spend less time looking in the rearview mirror and more time looking out front, deciding, okay, yes, let's use that. Let's be sentimental and enjoy the journey. So important. My mom has said the words enjoy the journey my whole life. That has been like her thing, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. Let's enjoy the journey, but let's make sure that we are making sure the journey is in alignment with who we are. Who is our business today? If you need to refresh your offer, your messaging, your marketing, your plan, your pricing, your vision, do it. It is your business. You can be obsessed or you can be average. I feel like this statement resonates with me as a human now more than it ever has. And I feel like I'm using it in so many situations, whether it's for kids in sports, whether it's for work, whether it's for learning something new. It's where you put your passion, your energy, your effort, your time. So make sure that what you're putting them into is worth it, but it also is in alignment with who you are. Don't take a plan from 3 years ago and just go all in on that, because the factors, the variables around your plan are different. Guys, 2024 is an incredible time to be in business. We have incredible options for technology, optimization, global talent, all of these different things. Does it come with some challenges in the environment? Absolutely. I don't think there's anywhere in the world right now that would tell you that there isn't some significant challenges to the environment that they operate their business in. But here's the thing. There have been many successful people that have gone on to do amazing things during difficult situations. So don't let it hold you back. You have the ability to go and do incredible, amazing things this year. But make sure that they are the things that are in line with who you and your business are now, not who they were before. Well, guys, it's been a short but value-packed episode, and I want you to take that time to go and really think about these things. Decide, why did you start, but why are you still doing it? What is the difference between the challenge or the problem you solved when you started compared to now? What is the difference in the market, in the environment? And then I want you to take all of that information and I want you to decide what opportunities can you create from the change? What new things can you offer? Not necessarily in specific service, but what kinds of things can you do to really make sure that you're utilizing the current situation? That's all. Next week is our last episode. Please tune in for a action-packed summary of our previous 3 seasons. Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you can do me a favor and leave a review on the podcast wherever you listen, that would really help the show. Thanks so much.
We're all out of time for today, but the fun doesn't stop here. Make sure to subscribe to the Service-Based Business Society podcast. Your likes, shares, and reviews podcast really do help the show. Until next time, have a great week.